Hello, I'm Derek Mooney.
I'm Terry Garvey.
And this is
Read Right Now.
This week we're coming to you from two locations in County Kildare, and as you can see behind us, it's pretty early in the morning here. We're at the Weston Airfield where I'll be checking out the activities and who knows, maybe even getting a flying lesson.
I'll be keeping my feet on the ground because I'm off to a riding centre to look at the skills relating to a four-legged form of transport. I'm going to see if I can get a pilot to fly me there.
Best of luck, Terry. Now the key words in this week's programme are going to be decision, attention and use, and how they relate to your learning. It's a three-step process really. Firstly, you must make a decision to learn something. You need to pay attention in order to do it properly, and once you've succeeded in doing that, you can then use what you've learned in your everyday life. To get the most out of Read Right Now, you should get yourself a copy of the free Read Right Now workbook. All you have to do is pick up the phone and dial 1-800 20 20 65. It's got worksheets and activities to practice, as well as lots more tips and advice.
I'm here at Osborstown Riding Centre. The most important thing in learning is how to apply yourself, and this week we're going to concentrate on that.
Okay, start up with our neck, nice long even strokes.
We'll be looking at how the process of learning is an active one and how to avoid distractions. As usual, we'll have plenty of tips on literacy and numeracy and practical learning points along the way. Do you remember earlier in the series we looked at the stages of learning? They're very connected to what we're talking about today. Stage 1 is where you can't do something but you're not even aware that you can't do it. Stage 2, you still can't do it, but at this point you take a decision to do something about that. Stage 3, you're getting to grips with it and you're paying it attention. And stage 4, you can do it easily, you can use your newfound knowledge. Here at Osborstown Riding Centre, we can see these stages of learning in action. When people come to Liam Gaffney to learn how to ride, that's the process they go through. They decide to learn to ride, they have to put time and effort into learning how to do it, this is where attention comes in, and after they've spent the time doing that, they can use their learning. They can get up on the horse and ride confidently. Caroline Redmond from County Kildare found school a very enjoyable experience, but she wasn't committed to learning while she was there. In her 30s and having had 3 children, Caroline returned to learning very successfully.
I grew up in Moatfield, Athy, County Kildare. I got on well in school. I had a great time in school, I have to say. I mightn't have learned or studied a lot, but I had a great time. I left school and was unemployed for 2 months, and then I got a job in a factory. Well, I have to say, from the time I started to work, I had a lot of independence. I had my own money coming in and never really thought anymore about returning to education. It's only sort of when my children were reared, I decided that I didn't want to spend the rest of my life stuck at home doing nothing, that I wanted to be able to go out and go back into the workplace and get a job I liked doing. I actually went down to the local social welfare office and there was an advertisement for VTOS, which is Vocational Training Opportunities Scheme, and I decided childcare, I was used to children, that's what I'd like to do. And I rang Mary Campbell, who was the coordinator, and got an appointment, and I started that Monday morning. Thank you. You're going to put the cases in. As I was going along, the goals I set in the very beginning weren't very hard to do. I set them realistic. Like, for example, just get my childcare qualification. And when I achieved that, I set myself another goal, a bit higher. And like, I kept the course interesting and also kept me interested in the course, that it wasn't getting boring. And my one ambition when I started VTOS was to learn how to drive. And before I left, I swore I would drive up to VTOS And the last 2 weeks I drove up. I didn't park in Vitas, but I was delighted to get up to the gate. And that was 3 months ago, and I've now passed my driving test. So I'm very happy now with that as well, I have to say.
In general, it's true to say that most adults are self-directed learners. But what do I mean by that? Well, they make a concrete choice to learn something new, and in doing so, become very different learners from children. In this case, the learning is voluntary, and it's good to remember that. Now, for most people, being taught to fly requires them learning a whole new range of skills, subjects, and tasks from scratch. It takes hours of study and instruction and months of training and practice before you can fly on your own. Well, most of us will probably never take on such a daunting new learning task, but no matter what you decide to learn, the steps will be the same: decision, attention, and finally, use.
You need to actively attend to what you're doing to learn. Learning isn't a passive experience. Now, it isn't important how quickly you learn, but how well you do it. So concentrate, focus your attention on your work, and it'll become absorbing and much easier to do. They're working, now it's your turn. So here's this week's tip on spelling and recognizing words. And we're dealing with the 5 vowels, A, E, I, O, and U. The alphabet is made up of 26 letters, each of which has a different sound as well as a name, which can be confusing when you're trying to spell a word. For example, the letter A in the word tap has a different sound to the same letter in the word tape. There are 5 vowels in the alphabet. They are A, E, I, O, U. These letters are special. Nearly every word will have at least one vowel. For example, down. The vowel here is O. Under, there are 2 vowels here, U and E. And musical has 3 vowels, U, I and A. You could use a sentence to help you remember the 5 vowels. Anything else is only useless. A, E, I, O, U. All other 21 letters in the alphabet are called consonants. If it's not a vowel, then it's a consonant. Vowels can change their sound depending on what comes before or after them. Look at these words: hop, hope, fat, fate, win, wine. In all these cases, the sound of the middle vowel gets longer when we add an E to the end. Hop, hope, fat, fate, win, wine. You'll find lots more tips and activities in the new Read Write Now workbook. Just phone free on 1800 20 20 65 to get your copy.
As adults, when you go back to learning, it's usually a means to an end, and there's a specific reason for doing so. For example, if you want to know what's wrong with the car, you have to consult the car repair manual. And in the same way, Dave and Mark behind me here have to look up the manufacturer's manual before setting to work on this plane. It may be that you want to help out your kids with their homework, so you decide to tackle your reading and writing skills again. Or perhaps there's a possibility of a better job. So what do? You brush up on your computer skills. But because there's usually a direct reason for adults learning, it will help to keep you motivated and focused when times get tough. Now, Caroline Redmond certainly found this to be the case.
Returning to education as an adult, I find that you do have to be motivated. You have to really want it. If you don't want it and you start missing classes, you're not going to end up with the qualifications. And to me, that would be like going through school again and coming out with nothing at the end of my year's studies. So I decided that I would make this work, not for myself, but for my family concerned as well. I studied late at night when I had the housework done, the children were asleep, homework done, everything. I found I was not a night person in the beginning, but I found I survived on very little sleep, and from about 11 o'clock at night till 1:30, I went into the sitting room and done all my studies and my work. Organising the rest of my life and the children was a distraction at first, but I had great support from my partner and my family, which left me a lot of time to go back and to get my studying done. I think they were proud that I had decided to do something with my life. During my time I spent in VTAS, I done my childcare qualifications, I done various other courses. I found my thirst for knowledge and education, the more I learned, the more I wanted to know. But I found that I wanted more and more information and qualifications under my belt that would give me every advantage that I could have over anybody else going out to either look for a job or to start their own business.
These days, you don't see many people who have the skills to do something like this. It's a series of specialised movements known in the horse business as dressage. This is a great example of learning being applied. Adult learners usually have very specific goals. They have purposes that they're working towards when they put in all those hours of learning, whether it's learning to use a computer, learning to drive a car, improve their reading skills, or tackle something as challenging as this.
How can you see something hundreds of times and not remember it, not learn it? Well, the answer to that question gives us the central ingredient, the most important ingredient of learning, and that is attention. Attention is the royal road to learning. Without attention, you get no learning. Attention helps you learn by focusing your mind on what it is you're trying to learn. Have you ever tried to read or to study while the television's on or while people are talking around you? Distraction like this sucks your attention away so that you only take in a fraction of what you're reading or studying. That gives us the first rule for attention for learning. Get rid of distraction. Everyone has a limit for how long they can concentrate. If you're not used to reading or studying, you can lose the habit. So you need to practice. That gives us our second rule of attention for learning. Whenever you sit down to study or read, set a time limit when you're going to finish. So if you can, for instance, concentrate for 2 or 3 minutes, then set a target of just 2 minutes and make sure you stick to that target. Remember, to train up concentration, you have to be in control. So if you set short limits and you decide when to stop, then your attention won't drift and you'll build both confidence and concentration.